Okay. Hi, my name is Amanda and this is going to be my very first YouTube video. So we're gonna see how it goes. I'm trying it out. You hear a lot of YouTubers say you can start with a phone and a setup, and this is what I got. So we're gonna give it my best try. I have my journal here with me and I kind of just want to introduce myself and talk a little bit with you about the goals that I had for 2020, how that all played out, and what I'm looking forward to in 2021. So let's go ahead and get started. How was your 2020? I know for me that it was a very interesting year, to say the least. I don't think anyone really could have predicted what was going to happen this year. And I think that in the future, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, heck, even at the end of January, I think we'll all look back on 2020 and describe it so completely differently. It was definitely a year where people spent a lot of time with themselves, spent a lot of time at home, and I think that that has led to a lot of reflection. And since we experienced the year very differently, I'm intrigued to hear about how your 2020 was. So leave a comment down below. How was your 2020? For me, I know that I love to journal, and so at the end of every year, I spend quite a bit of time just sitting down, looking back at goals from the year before, and I just kind of check in, see where I'm at, how did I do? And so then I kind of brainstormed some new goals for 2021 based on how the last ones went. So for 2020, a lot of my goals pertain to professional development, personal development, and educational development. I'd say those are some of the three categories of my goals. And so the first one that I want to talk about is receiving a Fulbright. This is my kind of intro to all of you, so a little bit of background about me. I speak German and English, and I've been learning German since I was a freshman in high school, and I grew up speaking English, so that's my native language. And when I went to college, I studied to be a German teacher and to teach English. And so I graduated this past May of 2020 with my bachelor's degree in German, teaching English as a second language, and secondary education. And I took all of my licensure exams, finished my student teaching, and now I am a licensed teacher, which was such a big goal for me in 2020, and I am so excited to be done with all of the certification stuff for that, because it was a process. But as far as receiving a Fulbright goes, I can talk a little bit more about what a Fulbright is in the future, especially when I actually start the program. But I was supposed to begin teaching English in Germany in September of 2020. Given international relations and different guidelines and restrictions for different countries, my program ended up being postponed originally until January of 2021, but now it is being postponed completely until the fall of 2021, which I've been able to find a lot of silver linings in, and I still am looking forward to being able to teach over in Germany, because I think that's going to be some amazing experience for me, and I'm very, very excited to just kind of immerse myself in a place that I have been studying about for a long time. I have been very fortunate to have gone to Europe a few times before, but this will be the longest time that I will live away from home in a foreign country. So I did receive a Fulbright, but the actual program of it won't be until 2021. So that's a goal as well. Another goal that I had for 2020 was to finish my research project that I was working on in college, and to finish my undergraduate thesis. Both of these projects were an immense amount of work, and at the time when I was working on them, I had a lot on my plate, so at times I felt very overwhelmed. But I did a research project comparing language education programs in Germany versus the United States, and my undergraduate thesis for German was about love, the human experience, life, all of the above, kind of how the history of the concept of love and the idea of where the universe came from, how that plays out in the human species today. So I wrote my thesis in German, did my research project, presentations are done. I am so glad. for those experiences, but glad they're done. Personal finance has been something that I've kind of struggled with and gone back and forth on over the last several years. I really think that our education system does us a huge injustice in the United States when it comes to our financial education, teaching us about money, teaching us about taxes and how to live in this society that we are growing up in. And so as someone who's very, very passionate about education, I realize that I can't just talk the talk, I have to walk the walk too. And as someone who is a lifelong learner and really enjoys learning, I decided to take my financial education into my own hands this year. With graduating college and with kind of entering the adult world on my own, it was really important for me this year to start prioritizing my finances and learning about how this all works. I think education is extremely powerful, and money is something that I'm kind of cautious with. So this year in 2020 and in this upcoming year of 2021, I am prioritizing financial education and learning as much as I can, and maybe start testing the waters out. We'll see. But I'm very proud of myself for the reading and the research that I have done this year, as well as, you know, getting my first credit card and setting up my first retirement fund and starting to take those steps in developing my future. As I continue this YouTube channel, you'll see I have a lot of big goals, and that is going to require a very strong foundation over many aspects. So while 2020 was definitely quite a big curveball, I'm thankful for the time that it gave me. I was at home for a lot of it, and I had so much free time, and it stressed me out at first because I don't always know what to do with free time. I'm a person who likes to be busy, and I like to have a lot of things going on at once. It comes from the perfectionism, I think. But with the time that I've had at home and the free time I've had, I have been doing what I can to just learn about things here and there. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about professional and educational goals that I had for 2020, but I did also have some personal goals. Other than like personal finance, one priority for me in 2020 was relationships. And that's kind of an umbrella term, but with writing my thesis on love, there were so many aspects of it that I was introduced to, and different faces that come with this concept of love that stems beyond just romantic love and platonic love. So in 2020, I really wanted to focus on my relationship with myself when it comes to mental health, physical, spiritual, all of that. Really focusing on my relationship with myself was very important to me at the beginning of the year, and learned a lot about myself in 2020, that's for sure. I was given so many tests from the universe, from a higher power, from God, whatever you want to call it. And I definitely learned a lot about myself, which I'm very grateful for, and I'm looking forward to bringing that knowledge that I have now about myself into the new year. But also, other than just like physical, mental, spiritual health when it comes to me and my personal relationship, but also my relationships with my friends and family. Communication has been something that has changed drastically for a lot of us, and for many people, I feel like we haven't been able to be as close physically with our friends and our family because of different guidelines and because of, you know, what's going on in the world. And so while this was a big priority for me at the beginning of the year, I was tested each month of, okay, how do my relationships change? How are they changing? How are they evolving? What is their purpose in my life? And especially with graduating college and being separated very quickly from a lot of my very close friends at school, I was thrown back into my home environment, and I had to do a lot of healing of my inner child, going back to some childhood memories, and just kind of addressing things that still affect me that I maybe didn't realize at first. And I've gotten a lot closer with my sisters and my parents, and even some of my other more distant relatives, and that's been really exciting. I definitely didn't expect that, because when I started off the year in January 2020, my year-long plan involved me being in another country at this time of year. So the fact that I've had so much time to be with my friends and family within like somewhat close physical proximity has been really amazing. And I know that I'm very blessed and privileged to have had a lot of those experiences. So if you are one of those people, thank you, I love you, and I appreciate you so much. All right, next I have a question for you, so comment down below your answer. But in thinking about 2020 and kind of reflecting on some of the broad and some more specific goals that I had for 2020, at the end of the year I do kind of like to take a step back and look at what was the best part and what was the worst part, and what can I learn from both of those experiences. So to be more optimistic, because 2020 brought us to the ringer, we're gonna leave it on a positive note for this part of the video. But comment down below, what was the best part of your 2020? It's gonna take me a little bit to think of this. I think the best part of 2020 for me was being able to objectively take a step back from a lot of the chaos that was going on Earth, and taking a step back from it when I was by myself and spending time alone, rather than falling into the negative side of it of feeling lonely and feeling like there was no one there. I think this year I was a lot more intentional about using the time that I had alone. And the best thing to come of that whole mindset change was really feeling like no matter what happened this year, I had myself to get through it. I had my friends and I had my family, and of course I had all these hobbies and different projects I could work on, but at the end of the day, if you strip away every physical thing in my outer world of 2020, you take away all the chaos, you take away all the suffering, all the growth, you take away everything on the outside that you can see, and I was able to get myself through this year, and to get myself to a place where, despite a lot of the negative things that happened this year, I am happy with how this year went. And it was a wild journey, very unpredictable. I have no clue what's gonna come next, but I'm very grateful to myself for getting me through this year. I have spent so much time over the years building the best version of myself and really living my true purpose, and trying to shed away from all of these things that society tells us we have to be, and live the life that is truly calling to me. And this year was definitely a step in the right direction for not only myself, but I feel like our entire world as a whole. While for me personally, I can definitively say that this year was a good year for me, I am also very aware of the fact that for so many people out there, this was hard, and this was an experience that pushed people to their breaking points. And I don't want to invalidate that, because those experiences are very powerful. But at the same time, I think that regardless of what happened this year, we have learned so much more about what is truly important to us as individuals, as communities, as global societies. What do we think is important? What is going to get us further into the future? And I think everybody has kind of been able to take a step back and think about that a little bit, or at least has had the opportunity to. And if you haven't had that opportunity, I encourage you to just take a moment for yourself and kind of think back on what this year brought you and where it pushed you, because I think there's a lot of beauty and growth in that. But yeah, okay, I'm done rambling about that for now. Sorry, I can be kind of optimistic, a little too much sometimes. I call myself an optimistic realist, but at the same time, I'm kind of just spitting out whatever comes to my head. So let me know what your thoughts are on that as well. For my goals for 2021, if there's anything I've learned this last year, it's don't have any expectations. Like, if you think you know what's gonna happen tomorrow, you don't. If it's not tomorrow, if you're not living, breathing that day right now in this moment, you don't got a clue what's gonna happen. we definitely had some weeks and months where it was just boom, 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 one thing right after another. So I would think maybe 2021 might be the same. But looking in my journal here a little bit, again, a lot of my goals span across a couple of different categories of personal goals, professional goals, and also just educational side goals that I'm working on. Some side hustles, if you will. And I think I want to share only a couple with you because when I write out my goals, I sometimes write them out really specifically and I make sure that there's a reasonable plan of action for them. But other times I also just write down bullet points and they're very broad and very general. And then I take time in either meditation or when I'm just being intentional during my day to actually visualize what those goals look like. For me, visualizing them helps me so much more than writing them all out in detail. I get really frustrated with my hand sometimes when I am writing because my thoughts move so fast and my hand just can't keep up with it. So the bullet points come out because my hand can't keep up, and then the visualization is where my mind can kind of go wild with my goals. Okay. The big overarching theme for me in 2021, and I encourage you to do this as well when you're thinking of goals, but the overarching theme for me is building the habits of the best version of myself. And that is kind of broken down into being intentional about rest and getting sleep, drinking water, staying active, and building my habits up to a point where I am able to live my life as I choose and support me in doing that. Like I said, I have a lot of goals and I need to have a daily routine and a body that's able to keep up with all of that action. And with that, that requires a lot of intention and being more mindful of what I put in my body, how I work out and keep active in my daily life. But that also comes into, let me step back. There is also a part of it that comes into this equation of what is my effect of living on this earth? What is the effect of my daily routine? And one of my big goals for 2021 is to be more eco-friendly and environmentally conscious of my footprint on this world. So I want to work on transitioning my daily routine to be a little more eco-friendly and using less plastic and single-use products, and supporting smaller businesses who really do have our environment in their best interest. Our natural world is so beautiful and I love it. Nature is amazing. Get out, go outside. But I think that our society has unfortunately not really deemed its value significant right now, and that's so unfortunate. But at the same time, we gotta take our steps, do what we can to leave the world a better place than what we got it as. And so that comes into, okay, I was stumbling over my words a little bit there, but I just want to be more mindful about the footprint I leave on this world. And so swapping things out such as toothpaste and shampoo and conditioner and even my hairbrush and dryer sheets and just, anything I use in my typical daily life, I want to search for more eco-friendly alternatives. So right now I'm just going through the process of using up everything that I have, and then when it's time to buy a new product, I find one that I, genuinely support and aligns with my morals. All right, another one of my goals for 2021, you are seeing the very first step of. I am kind of an introverted person. I can be kind of socially awkward when people first meet me, and so I want to try branching out a little bit. Given that we can't really be in large groups of people right now, which is honestly preferable for me, I want to get better at social skills and communication and interacting with people who communicate differently than I do. And that comes with just exposing myself to a larger variety of people, like creating a YouTube channel. I also have a podcast called Higher Thoughts by me, Amanda Berkey, and I will link that down below. But I have a podcast where I kind of just express some thoughts that I've been having. Sometimes I can get stuck in my head a little too much and I overthink about these huge existential things that I don't even really need to be thinking about all the time, but my head just gets stuck on them. So rather than spiraling into a rabbit hole, I record them on my phone, make a podcast out of it, definitely check it out. It's a good time. I have big goals for that as well in 2021 and the next few years. So I have goals when it comes to YouTube, speaking my mind, putting my truth out there, having a podcast. I have a TikTok, you know, all the social media things. But I am also working on writing my first book, and that has been a dream of mine since I was a very little kid, and I'm getting so excited just like saying that out loud, and like it actually feels real now that I have started putting the work into it. And so I want to get a good chunk of that started in 2021. For me, patience has been something I have been working on for a lot of my life, especially the last few years. And that is definitely something that I feel like everybody needs in their 20s. So thankfully I got a lot of it. I'm 22 years old. And so writing this book, while it is a very big dream of mine, I'm gonna kind of take it at my own pace and feel out the waters there a little bit. Another goal that I have when it comes to social media, speaking my message, all of that kind of stuff, I will be opening a Teachers Pay Teachers shop, which is an online platform where teachers can go to find resources and materials and all these cool different activities that other teachers have created and sell on this platform. I had a lot of great ideas when I was in college, and even right now, just being fresh out of my education program, I have so many cool ideas for activities to teach language, activities to just incorporate in general, different lesson plans, all these cool ideas that I think rather than just keeping them up here, I'm gonna put them all out into the world. And so opening up this shop is step number one. But in that, there's a lot of other things that I have to figure out, but I'm very excited for that. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I will hopefully be in Germany in the fall of 2021, and I am really looking forward to that. And so there's a lot of stuff I kind of have to do in preparation for that. I definitely have to practice my German a little bit more as well. I work at a summer camp that teaches German through language immersion, so hopefully that will be a good place to kind of practice the speaking. But I've been doing a lot more reading as well, and so I want to read more books in general, but also books in German in the new year. So I'm looking forward to that, looking forward to hopefully being able to travel and see the world post-corona if we get rid of it this year. I guess the last thing I want to leave you with, because I don't want this video to get too long, is I'm really excited for what 2021 has to hold for all of us. I'm very, very excited to see where we go as a species in this new year. 2020 just rocked our socks off and just, oof, really did a lot of us dirty. And if you are someone who had a bit of a difficult year, I want you to know that I see you. You are not alone, okay? I'm here for you. Reach out, please. Like I said, maybe in this video, but otherwise I've definitely said it in the podcasts. I love connecting with people and sharing experiences. And so that's something I want to continue doing throughout my life, because there's so much to learn in connecting with other individuals. And I think that 2021 definitely has a good feeling to it. I got a strong gut vibe about 2021. And if I've learned anything, it's to trust my intuition. So, in German, we like to say something that translated into English is, until I see you again, because this is the only first video. In German, we have a phrase that means until we see each other again in English, and that phrase in German is Auf Wiedersehen. So at the end of these videos, I want to leave you with that message, because while this is only one little glimpse into my life, I definitely will see you again in the future, hopefully, if I am blessed and lucky enough to, and I really look forward to it. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and I hope that 2021 is bringing you all the blessings, all the good vibes, all of the amazing energy you deserve. Thank you. Auf Wiedersehen.